This episode of Shark Stop was recorded March 2nd, 2020. For clarification on what has changed and what has remained the same since this recording, please get in touch with us in the comments below and we will answer your questions. Alicia and myself are excited to get back on track with the podcast, and we are very thankful for your support. For now, enjoy this week's Shark Stop. How's it going, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Theme Park Shark Podcast, another Shark Stop segment with Alicia Stella today. Alicia, thank you for coming on as always.
Always a fun time.
Absolutely, and I'm very excited today. We're keeping things in Orlando. We're going right back to Epic Universe as we tend to like to do. We're not diving into a specific world. We're diving into a part of the park that I think a lot of people don't necessarily either A, think about too much, or B, speculate on, just because it's probably not as grand as speculating on a actual themed world. So today we're going to be focusing on the hub. There is a lot of exciting things happening around the hub that I think a lot of people don't realize. So let's definitely start at the front of the park and let's go through the hub together.
Yeah, I mean, okay, well, looking at the concept art, you can already kind of get the idea that this is designed a little differently than some theme parks, especially right in the entry area. There's just like all these concentric circles all around, and then the giant arch way that you walk through. What you cannot see in the concept art is, I believe, the logo for Epic Universe itself is actually the portal into the park. So like that round compass looking thing, it's not a compass, it's actually a round portal. So imagine like the top 60% of that just cut off, and then you're walking through that and under the arch. So it's almost like the Universal Studios arch, but expanded, grander, bigger, more ornate. And then in the center is the portal that you're walking through into the Epic Universe.
Okay, that's really cool. Is there anything else that sticks out to you, I think, from the front area?
Above the arch, which is like way taller than the arch at Universal, but above it, I think, is also like some kind of astronomical sphere with like gyroscopes rotating and stuff. So I imagine that's got to be like the icon for the park, is this like astronomical sphere above the portal. It's almost like magic that brings us from the real world into this world.
As we make our way through that magical portal, I'm looking at the concept art myself, and I'm already seeing like water features. And even off to the left, it looks like there's a restaurant immediately, kind of when you enter the park. I'm trying to just kind of gather what kind of vibes I'm getting from this park. I haven't been able to kind of exactly relate it to another park in the world. I don't know if you've immediately kind of said, it's kind of like this park or not, but if you have, I'm curious what that park is. And if not, is this kind of a new theme? Is this something specific to Epic Universe?
It's definitely like a combination of many different things that we don't really see in Orlando. Like off to the left and the right, instead of having a central main street, it's almost like there's a path to your left and there's a path to your right, and you have to choose one. And both of them are covered.
Right.
Like some of the international parks, this Main Street area is under like a big, ornate, beautiful awning with like these domes with skylights. And in the center, straight, like right when you enter, is all these cascading waterfalls and like a park area and some kind of giant statue. Yeah. And it's just like the most kinetic energy you could possibly imagine, as far as water cascading in every different shape and down different layers. I've been comparing it to something like Tokyo Disney Sea because of the level of detail in like the ornate decoration. It's like a combination of a Jules Verne and a modern and a timeless, not like Port of Entry at Islands of Adventure, which is very much kind of like an old version of a futuristic feel, like a steampunk almost, or airships and a lot of rock work. And it just feels like a more medieval version of the future. This one is almost like a fantasy version of the future. It's clean and modern, but also somehow in the past at the same time, like Jules Verne and H.G. Wells, but like the more beautiful, like a lot of European influence, and even in some areas some Asian influence. So definitely Tokyo Disney Sea comes to mind, even Disneyland Paris, with the level and attention to detail that you don't see really in the Orlando parks. It's like taking Islands of Adventure and just upping the theme level, even for the hub area.
And you know, for me, Islands of Adventure is pretty much my favorite park, at least in the country. So taking Islands of Adventure to another level is a big deal for me. Comparing anything to Tokyo Disney Sea, especially a park that is in the United States, that's also a big deal. And it's kind of funny that you mentioned the choice of right or left, because it kind of reminds me of what the resort already has, where you kind of have the choice of right or left of Universal or Islands, but this one's actually in the park Is there a specific direction that you see people potentially going on the first day?
Left. Left. I think people are going to head to Nintendo, and we'll even we'll walk around virtually in our minds. We'll walk around starting on the left. Because there is that like octagon looking building in the concept art. And I believe that would be a very elegant full service restaurant with like big giant picture windows overlooking this extended lagoon through the center.
So if there is a main street or a Universal Boulevard, even so to say, area of this park, do you think it's going to be well themed in that sense to the left, or are they going to have to do it on both sides of that fork just in case people are going to the right as well?
Oh yeah, I definitely think it'll be incredibly well themed. It's a very similar theme, almost like a mirrored image on left and right.
Gotcha.
And they're both covered. You can kind of see in the concept art, it's got those domes and like the ornate roof.
Right.
And I imagine those will be like large shops and other types of things as you enter. Like some of it's going to be guest services and strollers. But then once you head out to the left, you'll hit that full service restaurant. If you were to go to the right, you would hit like a large food court type quick service. And I think that's that building right next to How to Train Your Dragon. So it's interesting that like you can choose to go, you know, to this super extra fancy restaurant overlooking all the water and the waterfalls, or you can go to this like super inexpensive and lots of options for picky eaters food court on the right, which, you know, maybe fits well with the How to Train Your Dragon because it definitely has like more of the younger folks kid rides over there. And the full service restaurant being closer to the exit too might even be a good way to like, imagine if Mythos was right on your way out and it's like, you know what, let's go eat here. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing something like the full service restaurant and how it's themed, because Mythos is like, it's beautiful inside. It's got beautiful views. And I think this is taking the idea of the beautiful views and like everyone in the restaurant gets a beautiful view. And that's why it's got the 8 sides or whatever. Like it's a big giant picture window facing the waterfalls, big giant picture window facing the lagoon. And so no matter where you sit in this like restaurant, you're going to see something beautiful.
What are some things within this hub already that immediately stick out to you as, you know, I'm not sure if Universal has done this too much in company, or if there, even if there is anything like that, is there anything that you've seen where you've kind of said to yourself, seems like a first or something that Universal doesn't tend to do?
Well, I mean, with the Universal Studios Florida Park, you have a lagoon in the center with a couple bridges across, or one bridge across that was added later. And at Islands of Adventure, you have a lagoon with no bridge whatsoever. And this one almost feels like it has 3 hubs in a row, like the snowman in the middle.
The snowman.
And that's because to get into any of the lands, you have to exit out of the land and back into the hub. So you've got essentially a Main Street area at the bottom, and then Nintendo and How to Train Your Dragon lined up against this central hub, and then Universal Classic Monsters and Fantastic Beasts lined up against this upper hub with the fountains in the center. And so there's like a ton of different ways to go once you're in the hub, but nowhere else to go when you're in a land. There's no outer ring. Like a hub and spoke design like Magic Kingdom, you have the outer ring. You can travel between Tomorrowland and Fantasyland. You can't do that here, so you have to go back out.
Right.
And I think that's something very new for Orlando and Universal in all of the Universal parks, to have all of these different pathways that almost like you can explore the hub, or you can make a straight beeline to where you need to go, and like it caters to both types of people. And it also caters to everyone's needs. Like, you know, there's a ton of bathrooms, ton of shopping, and a lot of restaurants, because if everyone's going to be passing through the hub, you got to make sure you're catering to everyone's needs.
I think I've pretty much kind of taken a dive into almost every world and the attractions within that world outside of Fantastic Beast. So with that said, I haven't really talked about attractions that much that could be outside of these worlds. How many attractions, in your opinion, do you think we're looking at so far in the central hub area that are outside of, you know, individual worlds?
As far as actual rides go, or like major attractions, I think there are 2. There's definitely the one. There's the racing roller coaster, the dual track roller coaster off to the right, which will have an entry off of the hub. If you look, there's that space-looking building, and then right next to that is a little tunnel area. That's going to be the entrance to this roller coaster, which I believe will be space-themed and have one car racing against another. And that's like a major thrill ride roller coaster. And it's technically part of the hub, not part of any of the lands. Definitely not part of the How to Train Your Dragon. I know many people think that it is, but How to Train Your Dragon has its own coaster below it. This is a separate dueling roller coaster themed to space.
And then any other attractions that we're potentially looking at within the hub?
In the center of the snowman is that you called it an onion, I think.
Yeah.
It's like a stained glass building. I think that might be some type of attraction. I don't know for sure, but there's been rumors of a carousel of some sort as part of the hub. But I don't know if maybe the carousel rumor was started from that full service restaurant over by the entrance, because that does kind of look like a carousel, but that building is much bigger than you might imagine. Like once you're standing inside of it, you realize this is a massive building for a massive restaurant. So the central onion thing, as far as I can tell, it looks like the smaller dome there might be some kind of queue space, which leads me to believe it might be an attraction, but it's not a very long queue. So something like a carousel or a flat ride inside of that dome does make sense.
I just love how well themed, just like you were saying, across the board, this entire park is going to be. It seems like Universal is trying to not leave any stone unturned with this park, so that's really exciting. One thing that I am hoping for is nighttime spectaculars. I know there is the fountain in the middle. Do you foresee that as potentially being a part of some sort of nighttime show where we can gather around the fountains and perhaps see fireworks over the hotel? Is there anything that you've kind of heard or maybe even are speculating on for either nighttime shows or even just anything with those fountains?
Well, in the concept art alone, you can see massive fireworks off to the top, which they cleverly used to disguise the show building for Fantastic Beasts. And you can see the fountain. So like all day, I imagine the fountain's going to be doing awesome things like Bellagio style. But at night, that hotel in the back, that beautiful hotel in the back will be kind of like the fireworks show will be launched behind it. There's a lagoon, a little drainage lagoon, and I think the plans call for a little island to be for the fireworks launch site. So you will end up seeing fireworks above the hotel the same way you would see fireworks above Cinderella Castle. So I can imagine a situation where if you're standing around that fountain watching the fireworks, the fountain will be timed with the show itself. But at the same time, the fountain will also have its own shows daily throughout the day. But yeah, I'm definitely expecting to see a fireworks show be a big part of the park. And also, there are rumors that there is space to install a parade building somewhere, that they're leaving, like it's an expansion space for the hub to build some kind of parade building. I don't know where a parade would go with all these different circles. I mean, a parade route could literally be any of the circles, like maybe just the middle of the snowman, and the offshoot to the right could be a parade route. Who knows? But again, that comes down to, that's why it's so great that there are so many alternative pathways. If they were to do something like that, it's like, detour, go this way.
Man, if this park has all of these well-themed worlds, a constantly running fountain show, a nighttime spectacular with fireworks, and then a parade, it's like, what are we missing here, Alicia? There has to be something. What's not here that we can complain about?
It's funny you say well-themed worlds. I was just going to say, I believe the hub itself is actually separated into lands too.
You're kidding.
So if you were to take a little walk with me here, the full service restaurant next to the entrance area is like a water themed. That area with all of the cascading waterfalls is like a water element area.
Yeah, okay.
Across from it is an air element area with the food court themed to something like airships or air. Then we have a space area with the space restaurant and the space coaster. Traveling around across from that, you have a fire area, and you can see fire in the concept art for that restaurant. So each area within the hub is almost themed like an element.
This park is ridiculous. Oh my God.
Everything is going to be ultra themed, but also it's just going to blow everyone's mind on how beautiful this park will be. It's got to be the most beautiful park in Orlando if they, execute it the way that they're planning to.
I was just about to say, does this become America's premier park?
I mean, with general audiences, it's going to come down to the attractions.
Right.
I'm sure, what the rides are like is going to like Hollywood Studios is a terrible laid out park, but it's got some really great rides, so it might be a lot of people's favorites. I think this is a thing that it's going to be so well laid out and so beautiful, but it's still going to come down to whether or not people love the attractions. But from what we've talked about before, it certainly sounds like they have a great lineup of attractions. So yeah, I think this could be, you know, one of the best parks in the country.
A great lineup of attractions with 2 areas of future expansion that we've talked about. It seems like this park has a lot of things going for it. Now what I would like to do is kind of talk about some things that we've discussed in previous videos where we've said we think this could have been, and now we've kind of just off new information and new rumors and just kind of our own intuition that we're kind of backtracking on. One thing that I'm immediately looking at is the building right outside of Nintendo World, which I think we might have discussed as potentially coming as an experience. What are we looking at now?
Yeah, I was hoping that, like, I've always thought it was a Nintendo store or some kind of gift shop in the front part, because it definitely connects to the exit for the land. So it's like you can go in through the portal into the Super Nintendo world, but then exit out the gift shop. And this might be the world's first gift shop at the exit to a land instead of an exit to a ride. But then there's
we're taking things up a notch at Epic Universe.
Yes, Epic Universe is breaking the mold. It's taking everything to the extreme. But then the section connected to it, I was hoping or thinking might be some kind of experience, but it definitely looks like that little section to the back is a kitchen. So that long, taller section is some kind of quick service restaurant. It does not look to be, it does not look to be related to Nintendo. It's just part of the hub. I think it's going to be really well themed, and it's going to be like gorgeous from what I've heard, but it definitely doesn't look like an experience. It has a kitchen.
How off-putting do you think it would be to have a quick service restaurant that close to not only the world and the store that isn't related to Nintendo? Do you think that would be strange, or is it separated enough, maybe that the concept art doesn't fully represent that you think it wouldn't be too
I think
weird?
it's separated enough. I think a lot of the hub is going to be like, you know, shop, restaurant, and it's going to be something along those lines where Nintendo store, bathrooms, restaurant, and you won't think twice about it, because it's like, well, here's the Nintendo entrance, here's the Nintendo store, and then a little bit of space, and then here's the quick service entrance. So like even in the concept art, you can see trees or something in between to kind of separate to differentiate it. Then of course you have that giant expansion spot in between there and the barbecue restaurant. So, you know, maybe a future portal into Pokemon or something else that we don't know yet in between there. But for now, you know, just a little quick service restaurant.
Well, I think this might be a part of the video that might disappoint some people. I know we've really kind of gone pretty far in on saying the future expansion could potentially go to Pokemon. And with that statement, we also looked at the barbecue restaurant as potentially being Pokemon themed. But at this point, what are we thinking? We're thinking probably not now.
No, just like the rest of the hub, I think it's like themed after the fire element itself. I don't believe it'll be called Charmander's Big Fire Grill, as I have.
Which would still work. It's still
Maybe
fire.
When they bring Pokemon in, if they bring Pokemon in, they can re-theme the entrance to the barbecue restaurant and throw the Charmander up there. But no, I think what looked like a Charmander statue in the center is some kind of fire statue, and that it was our mind playing tricks on us. But no, I do think it'll be a fancy barbecue restaurant. And that'll be like the fire element area of the hub, and it'll just be themed to that.
Maybe we can just hope that if Pokemon does come, that is there, so it is a potential quick and easy re-theme. Because literally, it does look like there's some sort of Pokemon just right in front of it.
We're going to be totally wrong. It's Charizard. It's not even Charmander.
Yeah. That's right, guys. I think that's going to wrap up today's episode. If you guys want to catch more of Alicia Stella, she is the Theme Park Stop by Alicia Stella on YouTube. She has the Park Stop podcast as well. And she is Alicia Stella on Twitter. If you guys are looking for more from the Theme Park Shark, you can find our podcast on Apple and Spotify. We are at themeparkshark.com. And of course, the Theme Park Shark on YouTube. But all right, guys, that's going to wrap up today's episode of Shark Stop. As always, I appreciate you guys being here and for listening and or watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Have a great day. And we'll see you guys in the next one.